I've been writing a lot lately, and a lot's been flowing from me. And there's two ideas that I've had some people kind of push back on and ask for clarification on. One is that I wrote a thing about how Facebook has been a really amazing tool recently, and it's hitting a lot of my goals as far as digital intimacy and as far as what the net can be as a tool for connecting people and sharing love and really amplifying digital connections of love between people when the physical doesn't matter. I mean, this is what we're doing here. HugNation began as a experiment in digital intimacy, which was a phrase that I made up. Didn't quite catch on, but you know, there's still time. And digital intimacy, as I define it, was the ability to feel the love through the net. You know, there was so much energy and stuff about how, you know, commerce and making your lives easier, but I'm like, well, how can we feel, you know, a connection actually? And I think that people that have been to broadcasts here often know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you leave here, even though you've shared this experience physically with no one, you definitely, or I feel, energized, amplified in an energetic, love, spiritual way that defies what it looks like from the outside. Someone just watching me at my computer would not think that I could have such a significant experience. I mean, one of the highlights of my week in terms of intensity of emotion and love happens when I'm by myself in front of a computer. Now, by myself is a little bit of a, that's where it gets tricky. It's not really by myself, am I? It's physically by myself. And you know, cyberspace by its definition is this kind of collective hallucination where we all agree that we pretend in the moment that we interact that it is that physical doesn't matter, and clearly it doesn't. So, as Facebook has been becoming so pervasive, as well as increasing its tools, a lot of things are happening. One, I'll focus on the ones that I'm excited about. And that's how you really are able to create the world that you want. Meaning, as I become friends with people, and I see that they have a friend that is awesome or interesting, or last night I was kind of looking, you know, I was trying to find somebody that I heard somebody this, and the next thing I know I see there's a person who runs a clothing store, and the way that I linked over to their clothing store, and it was really cool. They had, it was, I mean, the store was cool, but their energy, the way that they put it all together was, it seemed like somebody that I would want to hang out with, or that I would, at least they make choices, they do things that is the kind of world that I want to live in. So I tried to friend him. Now when I see this person's updates, that's going to be an example of the kind of world that I'm in. So as I friend people, I'm very quick to hide someone from my standard view, meaning the people that I check every time when I look. And so, and I don't mean this as a judgment of a person, but if someone's daily sharing comes from a place of, I wish things were better, things should be different, why does this always happen to me? I can't believe this happened again to me. Everyone's out to get me. The other guys are such jerks. They keep doing this. Why are they so stupid? Like that attitude, that kind of victim or kind of just like complainy, it's not, or even whiny sometimes. I mean, I don't mean to, I'm getting to the point where I'm being very critical of that voice. You can address a situation without that tone. You can look at a situation and frame it in a way that is not a complaint. You know, I think that I'm trying to, and I think that's a really good practice because it helps you to see the world a different way. I mean, I bumped my head, so I didn't say, God damn it, I'm so stupid, I'm so lazy, why does this always happen to me? I mean, that could have been one response, or now I'm gonna look stupid in pictures, or I don't know, whatever. But what I before I posted, I thought about it, and I'm like, what is the, how can I change my way of thinking about this before I publicly say, this is the way I think about this? And I think that is a really wonderful exercise. I started doing that when I was in the webcam house, when I realized that everything that I share is public. There's no boundary, no barrier between my stub my toe and yell something or speak, or gossip about somebody, and that being heard by everyone if they wanted to. And so I started to become very aware of my thoughts, started to become very aware of what I was sharing with the world. Because, as we say here all the time, whether you do it consciously or not, your path through life is your story. It is, whether you want to call it a sermon, whether you want to call it your lesson plan, whether you want to call it, you have no choice. Every interaction is an exchange of thoughts, ideas, influence, however small. And so I think that crafting the world, or not just the world that you live in, but the perception of the world that you live in, can be a critical tool in making you enjoy that world more. There was a wonderful essay that Mr. Rogers wrote after the, what was it? It was after 9/11. And it was for kids and parents. And people were like, what do we tell our kids about this? And, the world is a terrible place. And he said, focus on the helpers. Focus on the caregivers. Focus on all the people that are doing wonderful things, that are reaching deep, that are giving, that are being selfless. There are more stories of goodness to share in this time than you have time to tell. There's no shortage of amazing, wonderful stuff. So that's the story you tell. The situation does not change. The story changes. It goes back to what I said last week in sharing Jacob's metaphor of the director versus the scriptwriter. The script is 9/11 happened. That was an explosion. A lot of people died. Atrocities abound. Now, there's a lot of ways to direct that story. There's a lot of angles you can pick. You can pick, the terrifying last moments of someone who was there. It's a good awareness, but it's not one that I want to really spend all my time on. Now, you can also talk about the people who dug deep and saved lives and gave up of themselves and acted from a selfless place and really showed, there are stories in there that can leave you lifted up. Kind of like the movie Life is Beautiful. It's a Holocaust story, but it's a story about, hey, the circumstances are not our God. Circumstances is just the stage. Okay? So, a lot of people have been critical, saying, there's tough things in life, and you got to be tough on yourself, and just whitewashing it and saying, and brushing it under the carpet is no way to live. And to me, there's a big distinction between reframing and looking for the positive and ignoring. So I've been noticing that as I'm friending with people, one of the really amazing things that I'm seeing is a lot of people that I follow regularly online through Facebook and to some degree Twitter and others, is that they give praise openly. They say they like this. This is awesome. I really enjoyed this. This person did something great for me. This thing doesn't, this, and all these, and so what I hear in the chorus of voices on the outskirts of my life are people who are appreciative, who have gratitude. And that just makes me access that feeling even easier. So if I look through my stream of friends, the neat thing is, that I see on Facebook is that you'll see people that I know kinda, but the two of them are really close friends. So I'll see, say, Millie will write to Patricia and say, "Oh, it was so great to see you this weekend. Your smile is always such a treat. You make me remember why it's a joy to visit blah 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 blah. And then, you know, and so I just see that I'm not even a part of that conversation, but it is like a flower along my path as I walk through the world. It's like a little bit of a little love blossom along the path. I really think that is important. I really think that is a critical part of positive mindset. You know, is tending your garden. Now, that positive thing could be is like, hey, I heard about the broken leg. You're always so cheery, even in the face of adversity. I hope it heals quick. Anything that I can do, bring by something that you can't carry, let me know. You know, that's a negative situation with a positive flower attached to it. And I know that there's, because I have this myself, there is a really strong pressure to not take that glass is half full perspective. There's a really social bonding kind of status quo concept that you're an idiot if you think things are great all the time, or you're ignorant, or you're it's kind of like if you're not mad, then you're not informed. Now, let's see how I can address that, because do I think that everything in the world is great? Do I think justice abounds and there's no unfairness and absolutely not. But then that phrase, if you're not mad, what possible good does being mad do? Unless it spurs me to action. But just being mad and letting my garden, become a place of thistles, because that's just reality. Thistles are strong weeds, and they grow stronger and they take over gardens, and that's just the way it goes. And if you just pretend that it's all flowers all the time, it's like, well, I don't want to fight, I don't want to be a thistle in your garden. And I find that it's not something that it can really be debated. It's one of those. It's one of those critical steps for me in my spiritual growth. Is realigning my thoughts towards what's good about this, and then collecting evidence of what's good in this situation, what's good in this day, what's good about what I've done, what's good about what's happened to me, and then just being more and more, and it's almost like you fine-tune your radar to just steer you closer and closer and closer and closer into good things, good things, good things, good things, good things. That is, I believe that. Some people, in fact, this happened to me last week, where someone said, well, it's easy for you to think about this, your life's so easy. And there's something to that. I argue to myself, or not argue, but as I think about it to myself, I think that I don't feel like my life has always been easy. I feel like it's easy now, partially because I've been practicing this so long and getting better at it. I'm still, definitely, and one of the reasons too is that then when things do go good, or when things are easier, when I do feel like, wow, I have a lot of blessings going on right now, I don't think to myself, I don't deserve this, or maybe I don't deserve this, or this is, because that is a really strong instinct too. And when you go to that place, you're basically, asking the universe, take this away from me. Show me some more bad stuff in my life, because that's what I think I deserve. I've heard quotes like, you don't live the life you deserve, you live the life you think you deserve. I also heard, I think both of these from Jacob, you live the life you narrate. And so part of this is the narration, part of this is setting the stage, setting the, taking what the universe gives you, and then, establishing what that is for your story. Ah, okay. There's potholes all over my street. Traffic is slowed in front of me, and it's much safer because people, I don't know, maybe that was a bad example. But I think that the price of being considered living with blinders is pretty small compared to being able to enjoy the world. Jesus said, you know, there will always be evil men, there will always be tyrants, and if you look at some of these great leaders, they didn't, their goal was not to change the world. There was not to rid the world of bad stuff. It wasn't to, you know, put all the prisoners in jail, or, you know, it at least the teachers that I follow, it's all about healing your mind and healing yourself, and then the world, as you perceive it and as you walk through it, reflects that. And then your goodness or your love is reflected into it, and it's a positive, you become an agent of positive change, but without saying, I'm going to fix the world.
You only live once. Enjoy the color.